Hello students, welcome to your channel Savish English Classes. I hope you all are keeping well. And what I have picked up today is this book Treasure Trove, which is from Icse board for the students of 9th as well as 10th standard. And the poem that I have taken up today from this book is 9 Gold Medals, that is the 10th poem, which has been written by David Roth. And David Roth is an American songwriter, poet, as well as an actor and an author. So let us understand about this poem, and so as to understand this poem 9 gold medals very well, we need to understand first of all about this very famous game of Olympics that is very well known to the entire world because more than 200 countries participate in this game, and this game takes place every 4 years. And for 2 years it goes on during summer, and for another 2 years it goes on during the winter season. So like this it happens alternatively every 4 year, and in this game it happens that athletes from different countries of the world participate and they exhibit their skills. So this poem is actually talking about an incident that had taken place in a special Olympics, which had actually shocked the world. But let me tell you something about this, that as far as this poem is concerned, 9 gold medals, it is basically a song kind of a thing, and it has been sung by different singers. But then it happened that Macintosh was a singer who had sung this song, and who had claimed in this song that this particular song which he's singing here as a story, he's telling you a story through this song, and it is a true one, and also that it had actually taken place once. But as a matter of fact, it is not a true one, it is true but partly true. And according to the incident that had taken place in 1976 in Special Olympics, it had happened that there were these athletes who had participated and who were differently abled, or you can say they were kind of handicapped, so that you can understand better what I mean to say. So they had participated, and they must have worked very very hard, and just because of their physical disabilities, you must be able to understand it must not be very easy for them to train themselves and then to participate and to perform that in front of the entire world. But then they had that courage, they had actually taken up the task to make so much of efforts and to undergo that training part as well, everything. And then finally the day came when they had to participate in that game. They participated with the same courage and with the same spirit. But then it happened that once they started running, one of the athletes couldn't manage and he fell down. And as soon as he fell down, two or three other athletes turned back to see that one of them had fallen down, and they ran back to him to help him stand to his feet. That was a true story. However, in this poem, the poet has made a change in the poem from that real story, so that he can convey to us this beautiful message, which is very much required even in the contemporary world, that is in today's world. Because in today's world we see that there is a lot of a spirit of competition, and people are like ready to kill the other person for the sake of winning, and victory is something that matters the most, and humanity is continuously being suppressed under the name of competition, under the name of victory, under the name of money and monetary gains and success and all. So, here through this poem, the poet has tried to show to us that what matters the most is not the competition, is not the spirit of competition, but the spirit of humanity, but the feeling of compassion or pity or sympathy, commiseration, or you can say the feeling of empathy. Now, what is sympathy, empathy, compassion? Compassion is sympathy or pity. Empathy is that feeling when you are able to feel the pain of the other person exactly as if you yourself are also undergoing the same situation. So this feeling we must be able to share with our fellow beings, just because there is something in common among us, and that is that we all are human beings, and we must have that feeling of humanity in us to be able to help our fellow beings when they are in need or they are in trouble and suffering from any hardship of life. But do we do that? We don't do that anymore. We all are completely busy and selfishly uh, only occupied with our own activities, with our own life, and just ignoring whatever happens around us. Just because that matter does not concern us. Just because the person who is dying is in no way related to us. But we forget at that point of time the person who is dying might not be related to us in any blood relationship or something like that, but then the person is eventually a human being, and which is a common feature with us. That is what the poet has tried to convey here. That the spirit of competition, the spirit of winning and gaining victory starts dominating us, starts playing a prominent role, and due to which the spirit of compassion, sympathy, love, kindness, generosity, that all gets suppressed consequently. And this is something the writer, the poet, the singer has beautifully portrayed, manifested through this poem, and tried to set an example through this beautiful epitome of humanity, that if one is living in this world, which is a creation of God, and where human beings are considered as the best creation of God, then we must realize our duty towards our fellow beings, and that we must serve mankind, first. And we must consider it secondary to win and to be competitive and all. So let us start this poem and try to understand. The first stanza is: the athletes had come from so many countries to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze, many weeks and months in training, all building up to the games. So this first stanza is very beautifully telling you that the athletes or the players, the sports people, persons, they had come from different countries. As I told you, that more than 200 nations across the world participate in this game of Olympics. So अलग अलग देशों से, अलग अलग जगह से जो स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन्स थे, जो एथलीट्स थे, प्लेयर्स थे, वो आए थे. And obviously they had participated to win. They had participated with the spirit of competition. They were ready to run, not just like that, but for the sake of gold, for the sake of silver, for the sake of bronze. That's what they wanted. They wanted to win. They wanted to at least be in the category of the second prize or the third prize or anything, if not the first. Many weeks and months in training. Obviously, when they have to perform in front of the entire world and the entire world becomes a witness to such a game, then they have to undergo that serious training. And that training goes on for many weeks and for many months, and they all keep on trying their best just for the sake of that game. Then the second stanza: all round the field, spectators were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. And if you get to see this entire scenario, then all around the field you will find that the spectators or the audience or the viewers get accumulated. वो इकट्ठा हो जाते हैं. And they keep on cheering, all those young men and those young women, so as to help them remain courageous and remain there in that field at that point of time when the game is actually to be performed, because it is not easy to keep up that spirit to perform in front of the world when everybody is just looking at you. Then the final event of the day was approaching. So finally it was happening कि जो main day है वो करीब आ रहा है, and the last race was about to begin. So it was happening that the final event of the day, was approaching. That means final event जो है उस दिन का वो अब करीब आ रहा है. That final event was to be performed now, and that was the last race. So that final event or that last race was about to commence or about to start. वो शुरू होने वाली थी. The loud speakers called out the names of the runners, the 100 meters of the race to be run, and 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. So, वहाँ पर जो लाउड स्पीकर से नाम बुलाया गया रनर्स का, the ones that had participated and that had to run that last race of the day. And 100 meters race थी, because it happens that it is already decided, how much area they have to cover while running. So it was 100 meters race that was to be run. That was the last race of that day. And 9 young athletes जो है वहाँ पे खड़े हुए हैं. They are determined. That is, they are like fully decided, and they have that spirit of determination. Determination means कि वो एकदम firm belief के साथ खड़े हैं that they are the winners. So this is somehow showing us that they have that spirit of competition at its peak when they are in the field and ready for the fight. And poised, that is, they have taken their position for the sound of the gun. That means when their running is to start, then they have to take their position. And as soon as a whistle blows or whatever sound is decided, like here in this case, sound of the gun has to be an indication when the running has to start. So all the runners had already taken their position, and they were standing in such a position that they were all ready to hear that sound of the gun, and as soon as they get to hear that sound of the gun, they would start running. So now the next stanza, the signal was given, the pistol exploded, and so did the runners on hearing the sound. But the youngest among them stumbled and staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. So it happened as per the decision, as it was decided already that the pistol was to be exploded, and that would be an indication for the runners to start running. So the signal was given. That means the pistol was exploded, that sound of the gun was heard by them, and as soon as they got to hear that sound, they understood that they were supposed to start running, and so did they. But the youngest among them, there was the youngest athlete among them, and that youngest one somehow stumbled. That is, he couldn't start running properly, and somehow he got staggered and he fell down. मतलब कि वो लड़खड़ा गया, और लड़खड़ाने की वजह से वो ज़मीन पर गिर गया, और अपने घुटनों के बल वो ज़मीन पर, ग्राउंड पर जब वो गिरा, तो obviously what do you expect out of him in such a situation, when he realized as if he had actually lost everything without the result getting declared. He had understood that he had actually lost the game. So this was the feeling that he must have undergone at that point of time, due to which he became very frustrated. He got irritated, and he gave that sound of irritation, frustration, exasperation, and anguishes, pain, agony. And that pain, that agony could have been very easily avoided by the other athletes had they been just occupied with the spirit of competition. But then, just because as a human being they could feel that pain, they had that feeling of empathy, they could realize कि अगर उनके साथ ऐसा हुआ होता, अगर वो गिरे होते उसकी जगह, अगर उनकी इतने महीनों की, इतने हफ्तों की मेहनत ऐसे वेस्ट होती, तो कैसा फील होता. वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन, वो दर्द जब उन्होंने रियलाइज किया एक इंसान की तरह अगले इंसान का, that was an epitome or a perfect example. Epitome means a perfect example, or a paradigm. Paradigm also means a perfect example. So that was an epitome or a paradigm or a perfect example of humanity that the writer or the poet or this singer wanted to convey to the human beings. And this is something very much relevant even in the contemporary world, where we need to learn humanity, where we are only concerned with ourselves and we have that spirit of competition and everyone wants to win without realizing and understanding and feeling the pain of their fellow beings. His dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. उसके ख्वाब, उसकी मेहनत, उसके सपने ऐसा लगा मिट्टी में मिल गए हैं। और अब यहीं पर किसी को समझना होगा कि कैसा महसूस होता उसे अगर वो उसकी जगह होता. But as sure as I'm standing here telling the story, now it is a strange one. So, this singer is telling you, like here, the speaker, the narrator who is telling you this story, on the basis of which you can call it a ballet as well, ballad as well. So, here the speaker is saying, the singer is saying, I'm very sure, as right now here I'm standing and telling you the story, that something very strange and very weird and very unexpected took place, which was not at all, anticipated by anyone. किसी ने नहीं सोचा था कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है. Everybody was expecting something else. सबको लग रहा था कि वो तो हार गया, अब बाकी के जो है उन्हीं के बीच में competition will go on, और ये तो एक हार चुका है गेम को. But here is what occurred. लेकिन आप देखोगे कि कुछ और ही हो गया. अचानक से something which was very unexpected, which was not at all anticipated, that took place. And that had set an example for the world to follow, even later on in the world. So, this is what we need to understand, कि यहीं पर अभी तक ऊपर तक के स्टैंजास में अगर हम देखेंगे तो हमें सिर्फ ये फील हो रहा है कि एक spirit of competition है. Everybody is trying their best. They all want to win. They all are fighting for different prizes. For everybody wants to first of all get the first prize, and then if not the first, then second one or third one. But anything at least they must get, and they are only concerned with that, with the victory. But then here in this stanza, as soon as the youngest athlete fell down, and the other athletes could feel that, could understand that pain, could empathize with him, that this is the feeling they would have got as well if they had fallen like that. And then realizing that, feeling that, having that sense when it happened, that the 8 other athletes stopped in their tracks. अब यहाँ पे आपको समझना है कि जो एक्चुअल हुआ था गेम, उसमें सारे के सारे एथलीट्स टर्न बैक नहीं हुए थे. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2 या 3 एथलीट्स टर्न बैक हुए थे और जाकर के जो विक्टिम था उसको हेल्प किया था. लेकिन यहाँ पर एक अच्छा ह्यूमैनिटी का एग्जाम्पल सेट करने के लिए पोएट ने सारे एथलीट्स 8 को जो है वो ये कहा कि वो टर्न बैक हो गए और वो अपने ट्रैक पे रुक गए और वो टर्न बैक हो करके वो गए. The ones who had trained for so long to compete. Can you understand? वो जिन्होंने इतने महीनों से ट्रेनिंग लिया था कॉम्पीट करने की, वो पलट गए किसी को हेल्प करने जाने के लिए. One by one they turned round and came back to help him. एक एक करके सब आए उस विक्टिम के पास और आकर के उसको हेल्प किया खड़ा होने में. And lifted the lad to his feet. Lad is the boy. And helped that boy to stand to his feet. Then all 9 runners joined hands and continued. उसके बाद सारे जो 9 runners थे उन्होंने एक दूसरे का हाथ पकड़ा, and then they continued, the 100 meters reduced to a walk. And that game, that last event, which was a running event, it had changed into merely a walk. That means it was supposed to be a 100 meters race, but then it changed into a walk, just because the one who had fallen down must not be able to run anymore. So the others, so as to remain with him and so as to help him reach that destination along with them, they also reduced their running to a walk. And this is how they empathized with him, and they helped him by showing their generosity and the spirit of humanity, which is commendable, which is no doubt appreciable. And the banner above that said Special Olympics, और जो वहाँ पर बैनर लगा था Special Olympics का, because of it being the game of the differently abled persons, could not have been nearer the mark. It was rather now more than the Special Olympics. It was no more just a Special Olympics, but it was much more than the Special Olympics, because something really shocking to the world had happened. Something really unexpected had happened. Something really overwhelming और vehement, मतलब बहुत emotional कुछ हो गया था. That is how the race ended with 9 gold medals. They came to the finish line holding hands still, and the banner above a 9. Smiling faces said more than these words ever will, said more than these words ever will. तो that's how it happened कि जो race थी वो end हो गई 9 gold medals के साथ. That means each of the players got the gold medal. And that was something again to be marked in the history of Olympics. वो finish line तक पहुंचे by holding the hands of each other, and the banner above and 9 smiling faces. So that banner above, and then all the 9 faces were smiling just because all of them had won equally, and that to the first prize, said more than these words ever will. That means the banner above was containing the words Special Olympics. However, this time, this Special Olympics was no more just a Special Olympics, but it was much more than a Special Olympics. It was much, much more than a Special Olympics. Such a Special Olympics that the words can never describe, that the words can never tell about. It cannot be articulated in words. It cannot be said in words. Just because it had, written a kind of a history by changing that spirit of competition into the spirit of humanity. So this poem is like a transition, transition of the spirit, from the spirit of competition to the spirit of humanity. And this is the most important, or the core idea, or the theme, that is the theme of brotherhood, is there in this poem, which is very much conspicuous or noticeable to us. So I hope you understood this poem. Thank you so much for watching.